Okay, and there we are live. Good day and welcome back to another episode of the Air Force podcast. My name is Jaco and today we've got Chadi Ghaith with us. Thanks a lot for being here, Chadi. Thanks a lot for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
When I reached out to you, I've seen you've written a book called The Legend of Mimi Damos. That is
Right.
correct.
Yeah, it's Mima Damos, The Eden of Choice.
Mm.
It's on Amazon. Yeah.
Okay, then what is this whole book about? Why did you start writing it? What is kind of the reasoning behind this book that you've written?
Okay. As I say in many situations, that I'm not a writer by default setting.
Mm,
I just caught myself doing what a writer does, because I've always had this thing that if I have something in mind, I really would like to communicate it the best way I can. And
mm,
the idea of the book came to mind at some point, inspired by agnostic origins of the world and agnostic legends of the world, which is part of what I believe in since my youth. So
mhm,
the idea came in my mind, and I decided that I want to put it into words. And I thought that it would be very boring to just be philosophical, purely philosophical, and explaining it. I would like to put it within a fiction setting, within a story setting. And this is
mhm,
how it happened. And I struggled a lot, but throughout many years, I first released the first copy on 2015, and then I thought I want to make a sequel, and then I joined put the sequel with the original copy and released one bigger copy later on at 2018, and this is how the book came to inception.
okay, and you said it's about the Gnostic mindset. What does that entails? What exactly is the Gnostic mindset, and how did you kind of reach that kind of, I would say, spirituality?
Well, it's part of my upbringing.
Mm,
The I come from a religious background where we believe in
mm,
the sacredness of ancient Greek philosophers and the Gnostic
mm,
origins of the world. And it came natural to me that I would express things within a Gnostic perspective. And
mhm,
the Gnostic perspective, Gnosticism as a term has been so used in so many various ways, but there is something about Gnosis that is very logical and philosophical that's often ignored. It is the origin of the word is Greek, and it means knowledge of a higher kind, of a
mhm,
bigger kind. So the book came from that, and the Gnostic legend is always about bringing back the whole struggle, the external struggle of the world, bringing back to your own self as a human. So,
mhm.
as a human who has a mind and a soul and a body, and this is where the origin of conflict started within the entity of an individual, and it was translated later on a mass plural scale and got complicated to get what we see now in the world.
Okay, so what does it exactly entails? You now mentioned that it comes from old Greek philosophy. What kind of philosophers were with that were talking about that, were philosophizing about that? How did that start?
Okay, we're talking about the major Greek philosophers, which where I come from, the background, the religious background I come from, which we consider to be like holy men, more than just
Mm,
philosophers, which are
okay.
Pythagoras, Plato,
Mm,
Aristotle, Parmenides, Empedocles, Socrates, uh, to name the major ones,
mm,
and Plotinus as well. So those are the I believe this is where philosophy is. What comes after is not really philosophy as much. It's just more
mm.
like moaning and groaning about the world and what's happening.
Okay, and how how does this kind of mindset uh, differ from the stoicism that is currently very in the news? It's currently very popular. That kind of mindset, that kind of philosophy. Or how does that differ from each other?
Okay, well, if we go back to if you're always basing your Gnostic perspective on philosophy of a kind that Plato introduced,
Mm,
then there is no room for poetry. There is no
mm,
room for any bit of dogma involved, for any kind of poetic aspect to it, because Plato was very grounded in dissecting the human perception and talking about forms and how we perceive reality and all these things. So basically, it is very linked. So when we're talking about Gnosticism linked to ancient Greek philosophy like Plato and Pythagoras, we're talking about the your perspective, how you view reality, dissecting how the mind works actually, and things that are related directly to your perception. It's not something just like a theory. It's not something just like a poetic aspect. Plato was not into poetry. He was into
mm.
philosophy. There's a difference. So,
Yeah.
when we're talking about which the one I talk about in my website, I try to not my website, my Instagram. I try to refer back to fifth science, which is a science present in the manuscripts where I was brought up, and this fifth science is very much linked to Plato's theory of forms, and it gives you a perspective that you really do have a choice, much more than you think you do. People are so plunged into the external reality and they think that things just happen from the outside and they have no control. And this science tells you that you really have so much control over what you view in your reality. What happens, everything happens in the kitchen of your mind before you actually see it presented on the external.
Mm.
So it gives you that room to be able to control your reality through your thoughts.
Okay. And how does you say we should do that? How can we control kind of the outcomes of things that a lot of people will say is out of their control? A lot of things that
Well,
maybe yeah, how can people kind of control that within their mindset?
first of all, you gotta believe that your mind thoughts are just like physical objects; they're just metaphysical. You have
Mm,
to understand that thoughts are the nature of thought is are just like objects, but they're metaphysical. So just because they are metaphysical doesn't mean that they are not there. The idea that you can identify a thought in your mind and know that you're thinking that thought, it means just the same way that you can identify an object on the table and know that you're seeing it. So just like you're able to remove an object from the table and push it away from your side, you're able to remove a thought from your mind and push it away from the side. You have to believe in that power, and you have to understand that once you say no to it, once you negate it, once you push it away from your mind, you have to have that strong belief that you will not see the translation in the external world of this thought. So if
mm,
you have a fear of something and you decide in your mind no to that fear, you have to have that certainty that once you say no to that fear, you will not see the translation of its meaning in reality, no matter what it is. You will not see it, even if it happens similar to what you had. But the mere fact that you have negated that meaning in your mind, you will not really see it within that light if it happens in reality.
okay. And how does this kind of links up with the I would say the law of attraction? There's a lot of talk about the law of attraction as well. Is there any kind of link between
Yes,
the things you just mentioned and the law of attraction?
definitely, but the thing is about the law of attraction, which how it's presented to the world. Maybe it's simplified so that everyone can understand it, but I believe it's too simplistic, bordering on commercial in a
Mm-hmm.
way. So I believe I call it like the cornflakes recipe for the masses. This is not,
Okay.
it's promoted in a way where you think about something and then the universe will listen to what you're thinking at and will bring resonates back with something to you similar to it. But the law of attraction, I don't find an explicit explanation of how it's really linked to the logic of it, the
Mm-hmm.
dissection of the logic of it. So say that people think about money. which is my latest post on Instagram. I explained that if you think about money, you want money in your life. Uh, there is not much meaning to that thought in general and specific. You know, I want money, but what do you want money for? You want to buy meaning with it. So let's say if you want money to go to trip to South Africa to explore something that you love, maybe this is more closer to to achieving something than just thinking that I want money. So you have to be,
Mm.
money is not something, the world promotes money as if it's something outside the whole system, as if it's God. It's outside the meaning, outside everything, that people want it separately. But the thing is, money comes as a collateral, a thing to meaning. So if you have a meaning or a passion and you're dying to achieve that meaning, that valuable meaning, and money serves it, then money will be there present. You will stumble upon money accidentally because it serves a meaning. But if you don't have a meaning and all you want in your mind is just money, it's such a meaningless thought to the point where you will never get it.
Okay, so you've mentioned now meaning a lot of times. How do you think people should get that kind of meaning, that kind of essence, the sense of their life? What's your perspective on that one?
Well, I think that first of all, people should really kind of like destroy their judgments about reality. About They should not really be gravitating towards one angle and not seeing the whole view 360-degree. So some people just see an angle. They want this in specific. They think that happiness cannot be achieved without this line, this linear path. So they kind of step on so many things on their way. They kind of overlook so many beautiful things on their way just because they want to achieve that goal in specific. They think that that's how the world works. You have to be professional. You have to think of something that you want and you have to achieve it. So most of the time they don't really understand that their need for that thing is not really genuine. It's just hyped up with the, just like, you know, the standards of beauty everywhere. So it's been set up that you have to look in a certain way to be beautiful, so automatically you just strive to look that way without really thinking about who put those standards and why do you really want to look like that. So the thing is that if you keep your eyes open 360 degrees and you really be true to yourself and understand what you really want in this now, because we really, in this world, we don't know how we got into this life and we don't know how we were going to leave it. So the main aspects of the main qualities of being in time are so blurry to the point where you really don't have control much except to the now that you're living. So you have to really strive to make this now beautiful as much as you can without really just overstepping it always towards something in the future that you want. So a
Mhm.
healthy perspective of the now, a healthy perspective of time, all this is needed for you to find your passion, to find your meaning, and to be in touch with the universal meaning. Because the universe is like a living organism. It's not like God, let's say, created the universe and then sat down on a couch and just watched the universe evolve on its own. God is the universe and He's breathing His thoughts every minute. And we are translating, we're like thoughts inside His mind. If you want to think of God, I mean, God is a term that I don't want to use religiously here. Let's say the universal mind. So we are like thoughts inside this universal mind. Whatever's happening inside this mind, we translate in reality. The more we are connected to the mind of this universe, the more we understand our subject identity in space and time, understand the meaning of being. Even if you're sitting next to a dumpster, doing nothing, you will find meaning. You don't have to be sitting in the best restaurant in the world or talking on a I don't know, to the most important people in the world. So there is a system of importance, a system of currency, a system of beauty being so enforced on everyone to the point that they cannot think anymore or have a passion for anything genuinely.
Okay. Yes, you've now said a lot of things, and it's a lot of things to grasp, take in at one moment. But I want to go a step back. When you've mentioned people are not actually living in the now, they're always striving for or looking to something in the future. They always have this thing in mind and then the next thing, and they're never actually in the now. They're never in the present. They're never I would say, grounded in the actual moment they are living in. Why do you
Right.
think that's the case these days? And how do you think people can go back to living in the present, to not go after something that's not yet there? How do you think people can do that?
Because the whole message from the world that they're getting, that success lies and always in the future. The concept of the future, the concept of building a future, the concept of a wheel. I mean, I always go back to this concept. I mean, what brought a man to just imagine a car and a wheel? Why did he want to cross those distances so much faster? So there was always a commercial aspect to that. He wants to get those apples to sell them faster to a bigger people. It's always about selling more. It's always about wanting more. And the reality is, what makes you happy is about undressing yourself of everything. Like happiness is not about more information and more knowledge. Happiness is about your ability to dismiss knowledge, to dismiss information, because the more you dismiss, the more you're able to enjoy the now.
Okay. So, why do you think people should dismiss then? Why do you think they should, I would say, give up then in order to enjoy the now even more?
Because they have so much anxiety, fear and anxiety. I mean, we're ruled by the past is always about regret, and the future is always about anxiety and fear. And there's nothing really relaxing more than understanding that being in the circle of the now. There's nothing more rewarding than understanding where you are right now, where you stand right now, and trying to be your friend right now. People look so much into the future because they think that they want more. This concept of more is better. More is better. They think that they're advancing into something better. Even the world itself has not been advancing into something better. If you look at ancient civilizations like the pyramids or Atlantis, which is, and you kind of visualize that kind of technology that built all these monuments, and what kind of life those people lived to be able to afford such a technology, or to be able to do such a thing. You will understand that we have not advanced. We've gone backward. So it's not. Don't you shouldn't think about things as if they're always progressing. You should always uh, uh, you should work in a way where you can uh, live the meaning. Once it becomes identified in your mind so much, dismiss it, to allow yourself to live a new meaning instead of clinging to it and trying to add to it and accumulate to it. I know this is more of a philosophical concept. I know this may not be come across very easily to many people, but it's my first time to really make an interview, and maybe I should learn more how to simplify my ideas. But
No,
this,
no, no,
yeah.
no. Please continue. Please continue. And uh, I'll come back to the philosophical part again now, and I want to talk to you about something that's always on people's lips. Always, people always have. Everybody has a different opinion on that, and that is the technology on the pyramids. What do you think about that? You've especially mentioned that now. How do you think the pyramids was then built?
Well,
What
you
do
know
you
what?
think?
I'm not really look. I never was interested in any historical aspect of anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not interested in the history of religions. I think the historical aspects of religions is the is the thing that makes people contrast a lot and conflict a lot with each other, because they really dispute over historical facts. But if they think about the general a message behind religion, let's say, which is love, happiness, equality, all these, they will never dispute. So I didn't mention the pyramids in a way where I want to, like create that or celebrate
Mm-hmm.
that mystery and all this stuff. I'm not into the historical. I'm not into the mysterious. I'm just mentioning it as a reference that there is a standing proof that you always think that the future is going to be much better,
Mm-hmm.
much advanced. There is a standing proof to tell you that that cycles of existence are cyclical. They go from high, they go from a golden age into destruction, and then they go back from scratch again. So you're not going anywhere much better. You're not reaching anywhere much better. You're much better off trying to elevate the quality of the now for humanity at this moment than putting your mind and your budget into something so futuristic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the world as it is right now. So much poverty, so much illness, so much this misfortune. Yet you get these institutions that are paying billions of dollars to go explore space. This is, I mean, God created uh, Adam to represent godhood. And then this is like the Genesis account. And you get the devil who was really like protesting that. He was like saying, I don't want that kind of humble greatness in Adam who eats, sleeps, and get ill and get sick and die. I want something greater than that. So from the beginning of time, there was always this protesting that greatness should not be in the Adamic image. The Adamic image is belittled. The Adamic image is targeted in every way possible, in viruses, in bullets, in weapons and everything. It's always belittled. And you can see someone dying in front of you and not caring. You can see so many people dying of poverty and not caring, but you're looking for that greatness somewhere beyond space, putting all this budget to understand things beyond space. And you think that that's advancement. That's not advancement. The real way to advance is to make sure that the now is great for everyone. This is it. The now is much more important than the future.
Okay, and then you've mentioned people go in the circles. The whole world is going in circles from a golden age to destruction to golden age again. Why do you think it's the complete circle? Why do you think it's always in the circle? It's always in that kind of motion where it goes back to where it came from. It's the
Because
whole
there,
going again and again. What's the reason behind that?
because there's there's a balance
Mm,
that we always break. And just like in an individual life, you break the balance sometimes. Um, there is no good and evil per se. There is a state of balance and loss of balance. Anytime that, let's say let's say avocado is good for your health, you just eat so much avocado, you broke a balance. Avocado becomes the reason for your illness or your sickness.
mm,
So there is people's mind, the religious mind tries to enforce everything in black and white, to make your mind always crippled in a way, to drive you by the carrot and the stick. So be good and you go to heaven, be bad and you go to hell. And this thing, as much as it is, mocked by so many people, scientific minds and all this, they still have it as a little worm in their mind. They still have that thing, inside their psychosis, that stick and carrot thing. So they always have that fear and desire. Extra desire for anything create fear. So if you have an extra desire for, if you fear death, then you have an extra desire for life. Try to not have an extra desire for life, you will not fear death. So it's always like this. So the question that you asked, what was it? What was the question?
why do people go around in the
Okay,
circles the whole time
because
for the
they lose
balance?
balance.
Yeah.
They lose balance. We go into a civilization. Let's say Atlantis at one point, the civilization of Atlantis. They had great balance. They were living a golden age. They had powers that we can't really imagine, like levitating, like controlling things through the thoughts. They had powers that, if we think about right now, we'll consider it pure magic. But to them, it was logical. To them, it was day-to-day power. So at some point, greed, or this soul tendency, soul illness, uh, got a little bit out of balance, and they thought they can use that power to get more. So
Mm,
that power started being used into a more, less of a good purpose, and it broke a balance, and that led to the destruction in the end of Atlantis, and to the beginning of a new cycle, which we know of, which is the Adamic cycle that we've been living, let's say, for 7 or 8 thousand years or so.
okay, so
So,
if the balance is broken, does it always constitute something that something bad is going to happen, or can it also suggest that something good is going to happen, and only after that something bad? What do you think about that?
well, with time, each cycle expresses itself, goes in a different direction.
Mm,
Let's say in Atlantis, they had the interest to remove gravity. they had the gravity in mind. Some people allegedly thinks that these huge monuments were built because of their ability to go beyond gravity. They were able to lift all these heavy stones and put these great monuments because the gravity, they figured a way against gravity. So
Mm,
let's say in this civilization, it's interesting. Why would we go in this direction? Why would we go into the Wi-Fi, into communication, into internet, into this kind of direction instead of going into another direction, maybe gravity, like Atlantis did? So in each
mm,
cycle, humanity kind of like learned something from the cycle before. We're always somehow getting into maybe a better place throughout these cycles. But the biggest lesson is always to preserve the balance as much as you can. If you try to preserve the balance in your health as much as you can, you will live much longer. If you try to preserve the balance in anything, you will get more out of the moment. So the balance should be broken at some point. It will always be broken for the cycles to move. There has to be a reason for the cycle to move, and this is something maybe beyond explanation. But
mm.
there is always this need, as much as you can preserve your balance in anything, as much as you can be fair and preserve your balance in everything, as much as you will get the most out of the golden aspect of anything.
Okay. So, in the current day and age, with the technological era that we are in, everything is technologically, as you said. How do you think people can go to get the kind of balance right again in order not to get everything destructive some day in the future?
Uh, I think we've reached a point where we're definitely going to reach some sort of a Armageddon, and I
Mm,
don't mean Armageddon in a very apocalyptic religious sense. I mean it more. And Armageddon is an awakening aspect. So it's like when you wake up from a dream. This is kind of an Armageddon. So so I think always when the dream becomes too nightmarish, the dreamer somehow is alerted that he should wake up, that she should wake
mm.
up. And I think this world is going to become, already is, and is going to become more and more nightmarish, to the point many people will have the same exact thought that they want out of it. And when many people put their thought energy in a certain thing on a mass scale, then change will happen on a mass scale. If you put your thought as an individual, you will get change in your life as an individual. But sometimes there's a mass energy when many people are always are somehow asking for the same exit. And this is when a big change happen and the cycle is ending and a new cycle is beginning.
Okay. Okay. So, do you think that maybe somewhere in the future, a lot of people is going to stand up and say, okay, something needs to happen, something needs to change, something in the world needs to
Right,
be different in order for the life to continue, in order for us to stay
right,
on the earth. So that's your opinion on that,
right,
if I understand that correctly.
right. I think that always throughout history, always the goodness and people wins the best in the end,
Mm,
because people strive to, no matter how dark they want to become, no matter how dark they're attracted to darkness, no matter how they want attention through becoming so cool in a dark way, in the end something inside them is always moving towards they always want to protect that goodness because they want to still feel good. I mean, when you fall on the ground, you don't stand up to be good. You stand up to feel good. We're always striving to feel good. So in the end, I think there are people underground who are controlling this world, who want to steer it in a certain direction. I know that for a fact. But I think that they will never really the place they want to reach this world with will not win over the goodness in the masses and the people. So the goodness inside the people will always at some point reject that kind of darkness too much, and will always, and there will be a mass energy of people really wanting out of this.
mm,
So if someone is trying to visualize a world for you where robots will be controlling everything, and he thinks it's cool because he has some kind of a purpose behind it, because he wants to make more money or he wants to control the world, okay, he has his vision. Maybe he has so much affluence that he can really enforce his vision over humanity. But there's something in humanity, there's this goodness in humanity, that they have this alarm inside. When something is way beyond balance, way broken so much, they will seek out somehow. And when all of the people want the same thing, then change will happen. This is how it is. It's not about affluence, it's not about who has more money, it's not about who controls the world, it's about people. They control people because people's minds are still attracted to them. If people's mind go in a different direction, they are nothing. They will be nothing.
mm. Okay. So you say that the goodness of people will always win. The goodness of people will always eventually uh, get the upper hand. And but why do you think that? Why do you think in all of the people, even when we go back to history, there's a lot of people that wasn't, I would say, good people, good role models. Everybody always takes Adolf Hitler as an example. But why do you think eventually the love and the goodness of people will win?
Because it's, people think, uh, because the system tries to make you convinced that what brings you happiness is matter or money or power. But the thing is that people really seek meaning.
Mm,
Meaning wins over matter. Even the one who kills and steals, okay, he kills and steals because he wants to achieve something, to reach, he wants money. Let's say he kills for money and steals for money. In his mind, it's not about money. He wants money for something else. He wants to buy meaning with it,
mm,
something about his life. He wants to buy meaning. So it's never been about matter itself. It's always been about spirit, about meaning. But people think because money has been promoted so much as a way to achieve everything, power and everything. So people have started to wrongfully desire it on its own, as if it's separate from the scheme of meaning. But it's not separate from the scheme of meaning. So once people really understand that meaning is what matters, then they will become more sensitive into making the world more fertile for meaning instead of being meaningless and spiritless. So it's really like I would always say, metaphorically, because I don't want to highlight a lot about the aspect of God and the devil and all this, because I'm not really into the dogmatic side of religion. But I always say that the devil is a very is an a disobedient servant in God's kingdom. He's a servant in God's kingdom. In the end, no matter what he does, he will bring you back to God. But he has this margin to deceive you with. So he has this small margin that God willfully allows him to deceive you with. But in the end, no matter how much he deceives you, in the end, all this will make you gravitate more towards the good, no matter what.
okay. I think on this note, I'm going to stop the recording. I think we're on a high note now. Uh, but just before I stop the recording, please just tell me, where can people find you? Where can people reach out to you? Maybe see your posts, get all of your books. Please tell me
Okay,
all of this.
for now, I've consolidated everything within my Instagram, which is at shadi.me, which is chadi.me. So people can reach me there, and if they want to get access to my novel, they can through Amazon. They just have to search for Mima Damos on Amazon.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I'm going to stop the recording now.
You're